Today we're going to talk about the power of priority. Yes, priority is one of those topics that when you talk about it or when you think about it, people literally cringe in their shoe. It's almost like how it is outside. It's very cold, and when you walk out, you say, wow, it is cold, and it makes you shake a little bit. And that's the same way we do when we think about priority. In order to be great in life, you have to learn to prioritize. In order to be successful in life, you have to learn to prioritize. You have to learn what comes first. When you're building a house or you're building a building, you cannot build the walls before you build the foundation. The foundation is very important or integral in the entire structure of the building. How well you do the foundation will dictate how well the building will stand in storms, how well the building will stand over time. And that's why it's so important to master the ability to prioritize. You have to know what you need to do first. You have to learn to give up the good so you can get the great. You see, a lot of times what we do, we hold on to the good, and by holding on to the good, we cannot get the great. Prioritizing is just like getting dressed. You cannot put on your shoe, then put on your socks. You have to master what comes first. And that's where the key comes in terms of mastering your priorities. A lot of times it's very difficult to master our priorities because there are hindrances that come in the way of mastering our priorities. Two of those hindrances are jealousy and pettiness. Jealousy and pettiness comes in the way of our mastering our priorities because we know what we need to do, but other people usually react to what we are doing jealously. And as by reacting out of a jealous nature, it literally sucks the life or sucks the energy or sucks the oxygen out of the room called priority. And as a result, it slows us down. As a result, it impacts what we are doing. Another thing is pettiness, because what happens a lot of times, people think if you are prioritizing something over me, then you don't care about me. If you're helping doing that and you're not helping doing what I want you to do, then we ain't friends anymore. If you're not doing what we should be doing, then you're not doing the right thing. You're off the path. You're not following your calling. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing because your priorities are not the same as my priorities. So they get petty. They get down there in the mud, wrestling with you about where you're going and what your dreams are. And you see, when you put pettiness and jealousy in the same room, those are two factors that literally sucks the oxygen out of the room and cause the fire of your destiny, the flames that are burning inside of you to take you where you need to go, to be extinguished. So you want to stand clear of jealousy. You want to stand clear of pettiness. You have to be focused on where you're going and what you want to do. Wow, priority. When you prioritize the right things in your life at the right time, you will realize what needs to be done first in order to get where you need to go. You cannot get where you need to go. You cannot be successful professionally unless you develop personally. You cannot be successful professionally unless you develop personally. I'm going to repeat that again. You cannot be successful professionally until you develop personally. So in order for you to be successful professionally in any occupation or in anything that you do, you have to spend time every single day developing yourself, growing yourself personally. Because if you don't grow yourself in terms of your self-confidence, if you don't grow yourself in terms of your skill set, if you don't grow yourself in terms of being an effective communicator, if you don't grow yourself in terms of mental and emotional wellness, if you don't grow yourself in terms of economic wellness and in terms of relational wellness, then what's happening, what you're creating will literally disintegrate or crumble under you. So you see, those priorities have to come in line. You have to realize that the priority of personal growth has to be first and foremost. Every single day, you need to be doing something that increases your personal growth. You need to be doing something every single day that builds you spiritually, builds you mentally, builds you emotionally, and builds you physically. You have to also be doing something every day that leads you to financial success. It's something every day that brings about or generates some degree of passive income. You have to be making more than what you're spending. If you're spending more than what you're making, then your priorities are in the wrong place. And what you're going to have a train wreck. A train is going to literally sideswipe you on the track, and you're going to have a train wreck. And it's coming. So basically, you have to learn to prioritize. Prioritizing is so important because the fundamental fact is when you look at your career, so look at what you need to do, you look and there's certain things that doesn't make any sense at the moment. You look and you analyze and you put the things that you're doing in categories, and you see which one needs to be done now, which one can wait until later. If they're busted sink and there's water spilling all over in the kitchen, you need a plumber and you need to fix that now. You need to turn off the water main so then you don't have more water spilling in the kitchen. Now is not the time to be baking a cake. A cake is not important at the time. What is important at this present time is to go and deal with the water leak. So you see, you have to learn to see what things are prioritizing, what things needs to be prioritized in your life. And you have to learn the power of priority. A lot of times we get so overwhelmed and we get so into ourselves that we get depressed, we feel down, we feel useless. And the reason why we do that is because we do not sit down and evaluate what is of most important now. And because we don't evaluate what is of most important now and deal with those things, the consequences of not dealing with it hits us in the future. When you don't sit and develop yourself now, when you don't sit and learn to communicate with others, when you don't sit and learn to do and increase your skill set now, when you go to work 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, your performance rate, the amount that you make, the amount that you sell, the amount that you do will be impacted because of what you neglected to do 2 weeks before. The decisions that you make today will truly affect your tomorrows. So that's why it's so important in analyzing and figuring out what our priorities needs to be. You see, when you plant a seed, you don't dig it up every day to see what's happening. And that's the same way when you set your priorities. Your priorities, you look at what you're doing, you look at the vision that you have in plan, you look at where you're going, and you look at the action steps that you need to do to get there. And you cannot help everybody. So you see, the fundamental fact is one thing you're going to have to learn in life. You cannot make everyone happy. No matter what you do, you will be doing something and somebody else will think that you need to be helping them do it. You have to learn to realize to stick with your conviction. And you have to learn to stick with what you're doing and getting what you're doing done. You have to learn to get through life and get it done. You see, your priorities have to be front and center. You have to see the vision. You have to see where you're going. You have to see the end result. And as you see the end result, you have to have your matching orders as to how you're going to get to that end result. And you got to stick with it. So I want to encourage you today to go out there and learn the power of priorities and put priorities into action. Have an awesome growth day. And don't forget, hit the subscribe button below. Hit the subscribe button below. And when you hit the subscribe button, don't forget to select the bell, because by selecting the bell, it gives you the wonderful opportunity to be notified whenever I add a new video. God bless you.